What is going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about how to play mid lane Shaker, and this is a very difficult hero to play even though his spells are quite easy to land. Overall, getting value on this hero really depends on you having the patience to wait for the perfect opportunity to get a nice blink Echo Slam or Aghanim Scepter and get your initiation going. Honestly, that's pretty much what it comes down to, and landing your fissures, because fissure is the type of spell that you can end up griefing your team more often than not, and so you have to be very careful on how you use it and guarantee that you are putting it in the right spot, and that will come with time. If you guys are newer Shaker players, you guys will not land all your fissures and kind of block your team and grief them, so that's just the process of how it works. So definitely don't be discouraged if your team is flaming you for placing a bad fissure. It's definitely a very difficult spell to land. And also Echo Slam, you won't always get these 5-man Echo rampages. Like, that happens very rarely in games, and half the time you end up waiting so long where the opportunity for your team to win the team fight won't happen just because you were waiting so long. If you have the opportunity to get rid of a core player or a hero that's being very pesky around the map and being very difficult to kill, you will always take that opportunity, and that's what I end up doing the most. Don't hold the cooldown on Echo, even though it's quite a bit. Don't hold it, secure the kill, that way you can get your towers down and you can get your farm. The item build I usually like to go for is for the Aghanim Scepter build, and sometimes I end up going for the blink. It honestly depends on if we lack catch. In this game especially, we had a Legion commander, so we already had that catch, plus my Aghanim Scepter gives me extra catch. It's not as good as blink in terms of like the initiation with Echo Slam, but I can always jump in and still echo away from them. Blink can get cancelled, my Aghanim Scepter can't be cancelled, so it's honestly really strong, and it's one of the best tools Earthshaker has. It gives him a lot of damage and stats that are very much needed on this hero. Right after that, I end up going for a Silver Edge, so another tool for you to do a lot of damage with Enchant Totem and being able to reach targets without the Blink Dagger, and it's overall such a really good tool for you to really destroy these tanky cores with the break. It'll give you some really good survivability and escape if you're not going for items like BKB. Earthshaker is usually played pretty greedy in terms of like his item build. You don't like to go for items like BKB. You like to get as much damage as possible. You eventually want to get a refresher or items of that nature, or you could also get an Octarine core. That way you have more enchant totems in the fight, especially when you take your talent at level 25. You can pretty much get it every second and a half, I believe, with all the cooldown reduction and such, which is pretty incredible. But at the end of the day, it doesn't scale super hard, as all the heroes get really tanky in the late game, so you definitely have to keep that in mind. I like going for the Battle Fury as well. Battle Fury is really strong because you're already cleaving with your Aghanim Scepter. It's going to increase the cleave, increase the damage, and it's overall really good. And that's only something that you get when you're snowballing. Otherwise, you're getting other items. You could get items like Monkey King Bar, but those are definitely not recommended. You just need to play for the Echo Slam or for the disables and jump the backline, as you pretty much delete supports, especially when you have your Scepter Crystalist. You can practically delete most heroes on the map with Enchant Totem. Echo Slam could easily turn a fight on its own, so definitely keep that in mind and don't throw your spell away. It's definitely a very important part of your toolkit. Now let's talk a little bit about the matchups. Earthshaker does really well against most melee heroes because they can't really harass him out too much. It's definitely quite strong, but there's a lot of range heroes that'll definitely dumpster it. So definitely keep in mind on when you're going to play this hero, and even if you lose the lane, you can always end up doing a lot of rotations. Even without Echo Slam, with your fissure, you're going to get so much value and get your teammates to rotate and help you out, and you're going to be doing so much better. It's definitely a playmaking hero, so if you have very passive supports, it's definitely not recommended to play this hero. But if you have supports like Tusk, Winter Wyvern, Skywrath Mage, Techies, these types of heroes that really want to make plays around the map and want to run around and get kills with you, that's when Earthshaker honestly feels the best. But if you have really passive supports like CM or supports that like to stay in lane, Treant Protector, then you definitely don't feel as good about the pick, as they're not going to be helping you get kills, because Echo Slam sometimes doesn't do nearly enough damage, especially if there isn't a big creep wave for you to get that perfect echo. That doesn't end up happening so much of the time, so you definitely need to be careful and make sure your supports are with you so you have enough damage and the gank goes correctly, because in the early game your ganks really make a big difference for either your Aghanim Scepter timing or your blink timing. So you definitely don't want to screw it up too much, as this hero doesn't really farm really quickly in the early game. Once you have Enchant Totem and Ether Shock max, then yeah, you can definitely farm some camps quite quickly, but that takes a long time for it to come online. even though from the mid lane you get a lot more of XP. If you're having a really tough matchup, you could definitely get a bottle. It's definitely very recommended as you're playing mid. You're going to have access to the water runes and it's going to help you sustain. If it's a matchup you don't really care too much about and they're very passive, you could definitely go for the soul ring and that'll sustain you just well, and it's honestly better stats. So it honestly depends on what your matchup is in the mid lane and how passive they are and how much damage they're doing to you and how much kill threat they really have. So for me, I tend to go for bottle most of the time. It's going to be a lot better value and easy rotations for me to make, as you don't really have a good way to get that HP back when it comes to soul ring. You have no lifesteal built in. Definitely let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about Earthshaker, especially from the mid lane. Miracle was playing it and it was definitely felt very strong. He definitely carried his team, but it is Miracle at the end of the day, so he's one of the best players in the world. But him showing faith on this hero, its win rate has been climbing pretty steadily. I believe it's at 56% win rate, which is quite respectable on a hero that had a 46% win rate a couple months ago. So it has gone up quite significantly and people have been valuing this hero. Definitely not from the mid lane. It's more of a specialty pick like Topson and Miracle and these guys who definitely practice their shaker more often and are able to play it at that high level. But normally if you play this hero at position 4 and you know how to land your fissures, you're going to be getting so much value because it's very difficult to trade with this hero with enchant totem. So you're always going to have that, and if you get a really good echo slam, you could easily win a team fight for your team. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Have some fun, play some mid shaker. It's honestly one of the funnest heroes to play in Dota. For that echo slam, it's honestly so satisfying when you get 3 to 5 man echo. It's definitely very rewarding on your patience and skill level. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Like would be much appreciated. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.